Continuing Spider-Man 60th anniversary is my review here of Spider-Man 2, the video game. And to a lot of people, it is a Spider-Man video game that's one of the best of all time because it took Spider-Man into the next level. Well, you know, Treyarch made one of the best Spider-Man games of all time. Not just that, this is one of the best superhero games of all time. Seriously, taking Spider-Man into the open world was the right decision because the last three video games obviously was linear based. But with this being open world, you could do whatever a Spider can. If you want to swing to Liberty Island, you can. If you want to go to the tallest building, Spider-Man, jump off the building and swing at the last second, you can. Now, obviously, this is another movie tie-in video game. It takes place 2 years later after the events of the first movie game. Peter Parker is struggling to manage his personal life and his duties as Spider-Man. But when a villain, Doc Ock, is in a terrible accident, he must end up stopping him. And basically, that's pretty much the whole plot of the game. I mean, there is some extra content thrown in. You take on Mysterio, Shocker once again, and a few other villains. And not just that though, the main objective of this video game is to build up your hero points. That's right, you have a hero point system in here where you fight crime, you receive points, and you use those points to go to the Spider store in order to upgrade Spider-Man's abilities. I have to say, combat-wise, it is a lot better than the previous Spider-Man games. There's a lot of combat moves to understand, and there are some interesting enemies. One thing that I found out over the years is that the Lizard was originally going to be in this game, but he was taken out simply because there wasn't enough time to include him. But you can find some of the Lizard Man in the fight arena. And what's interesting about that fight arena is that you can take on multiple villains at the same time. But nonetheless though, this video game, it is very interesting. Sure, the story is not the greatest, but it's really the swinging in this video game that makes this game worthwhile. Unlike the past Spider-Man games where Spider-Man's webs was attaching to the clouds and looking ridiculous at the same time. In this, webs realistically stick to buildings. In other words, if you're in Central Park, you're not going to get higher than the trees. And I actually like that. This is a video game I cherish a lot. I put so many hours in while I was younger. And I have talked to people over the years, they enjoy this video game very well. They say it's one of the best Spider-Man games ever made, and I totally agree with that statement. The voice acting in this video game is once again subpar. In fact, it borderlines mediocre. Did anybody really give a damn about lending their voice to this video game? I mean, you have Tobey Maguire returns to voice his role as Peter Parker. Then you have Kristen Dunst, who completely phones it in. In fact, the only people who seem to have a good time once again is Bruce Campbell. And then you have Alfred Molina. He was alright when he lent his voice as Doc Ock. I don't know, maybe he was there to do a couple of lines, get their paycheck, and just leave. Because it didn't seem like people who phoned in this video game really cared that much. But my real gripe with this game is that it doesn't have a lot of special features like the first Spider-Man video game had on the PS2. Seriously, there's no extra costumes. There's no special challenges. There's nothing interesting to help you keep from being bored of this video game. Yeah, it is possible to get bored. The missions are repetitive. And seriously, why in the world did the developers think that saving a kid's balloon would be interesting? I saved the kid's balloon once. I don't want to save it another damn time. It gets aggravating after a while because it's one of the worst missions in the video game. And then you have this mission called Pizza Time. Well, you know, when Peter Parker is actually throwing pieces at Spider-Man. Yeah, I always liked that mission, but just not that much. If anything, this video game is credited to being an awesome superhero video game. It's not the best, but to me, it has a special place in my heart because it was the first open world Spider-Man game, and while they didn't do everything great in this video game, it's still more than enough to keep you entertained. But like I mentioned before, the missions get repetitive and there's not much to do after you beat the main story. I'm giving this video game a 9 out of 10. Treyarch deserves all the credit here. They did an amazing job turning a Spider-Man video game into an open world game. Popularized by Grand Theft Auto, this was certainly the right decision. But my goodness, what the hell happened to the graphics? Why is Spider-Man tiny? Why does the pedestrians in this video game look like N64 characters? Now, I get it. They didn't really have the budget to make the graphics great because they spent a lot of it on the open world of New York City, but still, you couldn't make the graphics look better. Nonetheless though, this game was a lot of fun for me when I was playing it throughout the years. I had a great time. And while the story is nothing great, it's really the open world swinging and the combat that really did for me. For why this game is one of the best Spider-Man games to ever been made. Another thing I wanted to add is that the interaction between Black Cat and Spider-Man in this game is actually pretty awesome. I mean, we see their banter, we see Black Cat on a couple of missions, and it's definitely more interesting stuff than with Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Seriously, if you never played this game, I suggest you check it out. It is well worth your time. And that's my review of the 2004 video game Spider-Man 2. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this video game. And speaking of which, my review of Ultimate Spider-Man will be happening later on this year. Alright, this is Slim Guy 172 saying, peace out.